Good evening. This is Street Talk. I'm Father Russ Carmichael, and I want to thank you all for letting me in your house tonight so that I can cause more controversy in the city of New London and around the state. I'm really happy to be with you, and I'm thankful for all of you folks that follow us all over the place, especially those of you in public office that listen to us and sometimes hear our voice and sometimes do not. So tonight I have with me my co-host is across the table from me, Dominic Cotton, who's here and back to help cause some trouble and controversy also, and Mike Linard, my associate and actually partner in a couple of little things, which books publishing and a little bit of education, and we'll talk about that tonight, right? Michael, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. And Dominic, good to see you. And people may have saw my little hostess, my little seat thing. Now, I don't know if you know, this is my buddy from City Hall. We don't tell about who it is, but he's planted in Mayor Finozio's office, okay, and he brings us information. So we'll be talking about what's going on there, like what's going on with the Coast Guard Academy and the sale of the railroad station that's been going on for over 10 years, and the day was nice enough to make sure that they said that it was over 10 years that people have been working on this, so the mayor can't take credit for the sale of the thing like he usually does. And of course, our poor dog is on tonight. You know, I have to say, this is what happens to police dogs that don't get enough money to be fed, okay? And I'm sure, I'm not going to say who our union AFSCME representative is, so I don't get him in trouble. I'm not saying it's your dog, but, you know, Mr. Lynch, God bless you. This is what our mayor has done to the police dog. So he's back with us. Okay. So tonight we know I'm going to trash.
And that's different from what other night?
Well, I was nice. Wasn't I nice the night that
The Michael was up
Michael
there? Yes.
Pissarro was on?
Yes.
Okay, I did him
I
a
know.
favor.
You left the dirty deeds to me, that's what it was.
You know, because he does not want to be nasty. He's a kind man, and you know, I think he's the man to be mayor. I mean, how can you run against the firemen? I mean, he's a fireman. You know, those guys run into fires when everybody's running away. I mean, who would be silly enough to vote against the fireman? What doesn't make any? And he's a lawyer too, so he can go in, bring you out, and then handle your little case against whoever's burning the place down. So, you know. But anyways, Michael, how about talking about some of the stuff that's going on with you? You're doing a lot of stuff.
Yes, I mean, apart from the books that are associated with Little Red Cell, which is our sort of imprint.
You might tell people that they don't really know what Little Red Cell is. Okay.
Well,
it better
some people
from
may know me from Little Red Tree. In actual fact, there was an article about a poet by Costa in the Day today, and it mentions Little Red Tree Publishing.
Oh wow, that's good.
Because they were talking about a poet of another publishing company, but they produce chapbooks, not the big books that we produce.
That you do. Yeah.
And they've only recently started. Anyway, so Little Red Tree has been going for a long time. So we started, us together, we started Little Red Cell.
Right.
And solely for prisoners or ex-prisoners. And we have 2 books at the moment from Ralph Ham with a third one in the process, in production, from a very well-known, how should we pronounce it? How should we describe him as?
Infamous? Is that, which one, is that who you're talking about?
Bobby DeLello, who's...
Oh, my
who's,
God. Right, infamous. Let's get this phone call, because I got a feeling I know who this is, right? And then we'll get back to this, right? Good evening. You're with Father Russ, Michael, and Dominic. Hello? Hey, Ray.
How you doing, Ray?
Buddy,
God bless you. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
You're doing good.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm still here.
Hi, Dominic.
Hey, Ray, you know what? My mother-in-law asked about you today.
Did you really?
Yeah, she's all the way down in Milford, Stratford area. She was asking about you.
She's nice to ask about me.
Want to make sure you're doing all right. Okay? We love you.
Father Russ.
You know Michael, too. You know Michael, it's across from you.
Michael,
Hi,
Right.
how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Shouldn't you be off to, hey, shouldn't you be off to church?
Did I say something?
You on your way?
I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say a prayer for you.
I know it. Turn your radio, turn your TV down. TV gotta go down.
All right.
Okay.
There you go.
That down. Keep the TV down. I know you're gonna say a prayer for me. I know you do. That's what keeps me alive.
Hey, Father Russ.
Yeah.
I made out pretty good today at the doctor.
Oh, yeah, good. You got a good report at the doctor's, right?
Yeah, I did pretty good.
Okay, good. I'm happy. So prayers are working. So you and I proved that prayers work. Never mind those scientific stuff.
You got a nice job.
Okay, thank you, Ray. I love you, pal.
Like Dominic.
Okay,
Have a good night at church.
it's okay. We'll see you later. Okay. Okay. God bless.
Good night.
Good night. Ray's cool. Ray is so cool. Okay, he's always loyal, and been with me for all the years that I've been here. And he follows all the shows and watches them dedicated and
Yep.
stuff like that. And knows Bobby and knows all the people. He's really cool. Everybody knows him in town. God bless him. In the family, of course. But okay, okay. Again. Little Red Cell was obviously, those are three of Ralph's books, Ralph Ham. He's on his 47th year in prison, graduated
Yes.
from Boston University, summa cum laude. And
These are the books, I mean, you can hold them.
These are, okay, this one is the play.
It's the play, four-act play.
Four-act play, Tinderbox, which is relevant today as
Well, it's a dysfunctional family.
Dysfunctional Family, great, it's a great book,
You
okay?
know.
And you can go to Little Red Cell and you can purchase this, and all the money goes back into our nonprofit, okay? So that people can do this, voices that you wouldn't normally hear. And the other one is the poetry book, okay?
Strangers and the Wayfarer.
Yeah, now this is
Yeah, a new edition
a
of
new
it,
edition of what he did a long time ago.
including his sketches and
Sketches and stuff
drawings.
like that. And I, cause I loved this book. I pushed him to make sure he'd do that again, cause this pertains to guys that have been in the joint and stuff like that. I
Yeah.
love this book. This is
I also gave a copy of that to the minority leader.
Oh, the minority-
Because when we went to go
That's
talk
great.
about juvenile sentencing, I brought that with me because,
that's-
I felt that kind of fit in, since obviously Ralph's been in
17,
since he was 17.
years old,
So
yeah.
this would have been something we would have
absolutely.
affected him, so.
And he's done everything. I mean, he's a model, and he's a black guy, and he's 6'6". He's a scary looking guy. He used to be, not any. Now he's just old, like me.
But it's a tragedy.
It is a tragedy.
But these kind of publications, the ones that we're doing, and we've got 2 more to do.
2 more, yeah.
We've got another poetry book, and we've got his writings, because he's quite a prolific writer, of academic, prison reform writing.
Oh, yeah, top quality. He is. His
really is
writing's
good.
his writing isn't the standard prison writing, I guess, that you get out of prisons. He is serious academic. There's no question about it.
The second imprint, and for those who don't know what imprint just means it's a company which is like an offshoot of the main company. And the other imprint is the Little Red Church.
Little Red Church.
And
Pretty
we
good
have
for a guy like
2
you.
books, but
Go ahead.
we have 2 books. We're only 2 books. It's only recently started.
Just
So
started,
that's
right? Right.
the
Wow.
main one, the Radical Jesus.
Well, Radical Jesus, for those who don't know, is Father's theological way of living. If
Written
you
by
read-
your mentor, actually,
and written by my mentor,
John Vincent, who's English.
he just like you 2 guys. I'm over here.
He
with
sounds like it. I lost my accent probably about 30 plus years
I got a
ago.
bunch of immigrants on my show.
Yeah,
They might be gonna stone me tonight. Got your green cards with you, boys?
But that book is based upon the Gospel of
Mark.
Mark.
Yeah, it's based
Now,
on.
if you just read Mark as a gospel and you have a picture of Jesus from that gospel,
Right.
and then you relate it to the current pope at the moment, I don't think there's any difference.
Yep,
I think if anything, one could say he's living the gospel.
I was going to get to Francis, but I'm going to get to Francis a little later on in the show, okay? Because obviously he's going to name new cardinals. Okay, he's doing a job on the church, and he's got a bunch of, I think, 15 new cardinals that are going to be named.
There's a
But go ahead with.
a recent publication from Little Red Tree is a collection of poems by Jean-Marie Salinger.
Salinger, is that?
Now he's a prolific writer. I mean, he's written 6 books of poetry, and he's probably one of the longest-serving authors on our publishing company.
Maybe you can hold that up well, because they
And,
can see that.
I'll be the Vanna White.
Yeah.
Vanna White. Very good.
The title of this is Artist in a Pixelated World. I mean, essentially, it's a book about how artists take little aspects of something, and then they bring them together into a new sort of entity. And this painting on the front, which is kind of masked by a sort of a crossword sort of figuration, is Delacroix. Is a painting of a massacre, the Sabine women, and the painting itself is an interpretation of an historical event, but it's very, very kind of layered. It's in code. For instance, the painting is quite horrendous, but there's actually no blood in the painting, but you have a lot of red cloth.
Oh, okay.
There's this symbolism.
Symbolism, it's all.
So it's kind of, there's it's a use of a certain painting, which in itself, is a composite of a historical event. So that's what he's trying to do in his poetry, and most poets do it. Intuitively, they do it. And so he's, and a pixelated world is very much the world we live in. It's a digital world. And a pixel is the smallest element in a digital photograph. So the title has a resonance with the world in which we live in now.
The world in which we live. Okay, I was trying to think of Brown's books, Demons and Angels, and because when we talk about codes and all that stuff that is involved in things, right?
And our other recent book is
that's
it's a new edition of Jack London's poetry.
Which
which is comprehensive, all his poetry, and the poetry that was embedded in his 20-odd or 50-odd books.
Serious prolific writer. One of the unbelievable, right? For the amount of time that was designated and the amount of writing that he did.
He influenced some really great writers.
Great writers, right?
I mean, George Orwell
exactly.
was, became a writer because of Jack London. And his first book, Down and Out in London and Paris, was based upon The Abyss, which is a book Jack London wrote about the East End of London, about the Dickensian times, just at the turn of the century, 1900s, early 1900s. So it's that's a book which is being sold all over the world, because there's lots of Jack London scholars.
So they can find us, people who want to find us to get the books can go online, and they can find us under Little Red Tree.
Yes, Little
right?
Red
You can
Cell,
go Little Red Cell,
Little Red Church,
and a Little Red Church.
and there's another one coming out which is called Little Red Acorns, which is for children.
With the children's books.
The tomorrow's books.
Well, and we got to talk about Ralph's sister.
Well,
which is right. If quality books are quality books, right?
I decided to keep it under this concept of Little Red
of the
Tree,
Little
Red something,
Yeah, it's really.
And our Little Red Cell is about, the logo of that is a kind of white bars
Right.
and a red sort of background. So in other words, you're looking through bars at the red interior, which is the rage of being in prison.
Of being in prison and wanting to get those voices out.
Yeah, so, it kind of makes sense to me.
One of the things we do in our relationship and doing with the prisoners and stuff like that, that's one of the aspects that you and I got involved with, okay? But you got involved with me with the disability stuff too, okay?
Yes, I'm...
And I
Sucks you in everything, doesn't it?
I suck everybody in.
You start in one place and slowly migrate to another one.
Wow, you are on a new adventure with Father, right, Michael?
That's right. I'm a newly minted, what they call provider.
Yeah, you're back into...
ABI provider.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means, but,
acquired brain injury provider.
In other words, I can
You assist,
and
people, and you're going to be assisting, obviously, with the help the development of our Darren, who's probably out there watching us, with stuff. But you're also back into teaching, huh? He sucked
well,
you back
I'm in a previous life before I came here.
that I got you back
I was a
into.
teacher.
Yeah.
A teacher
I know.
in kind of high school,
Right.
teaching design and technology, but not the technology that Americans understand the word. Technology in America means computers, but in the US, design and technology means the technology to make things and to manufacture things. So it's wood, metal, plastic workshops, textiles, fabrics, food technology. It's it's a much more encompassed thing.
I was just going to say, you're so detailed, you Brits. You know what I mean? I mean,
But I had a great time yesterday.
You got this poor American kid over here against two Brits. I mean, I'm out now, but you said you had a great time yesterday.
I had a great time teaching somebody who's, I've met many people like that, but rarely have I had the opportunity to spend that much time with them, who have basically slipped through the net. They've got to the age of in their 20s, and they don't know how to do the very simplest things. They can't do divide, they can't multiply, they can't do these basic things.
The basic building blocks were...
Yeah, because when he was in the classroom, the teachers wouldn't explain something to him. The peer pressure, he didn't want to ask questions. So when in summer schools, he did well, but, he had to work.
So now I got Michael working with people one-on-one for GED stuff and doing basic basic education stuff, and yeah, I sucked them right in.
But it's like everything else. I've said this to you before. College lecturers are not teachers.
Thank you very much.
They're not teachers.
You trying to insult me?
They're lecturers.
Yes, that's what I do, right?
Yeah.
I lecture and I preach.
Teachers are
Are instructionary.
are people who can identify the level at the student and then adapt and go down to their level. Lecturers just basically go right over the top. You either pick it or you don't. You know, go forth and multiply.
Now you're going to insult me too, right? Right.
Well, no, I mean,
No,
it's
but
it's
you're
like
right.
you
You're
say,
absolutely-
people,
Well,
you
no,
know.
but you're absolutely right. I mean, the worst thing I never said I was a teacher. They say I educated, but the most aggravating thing is for me to sit down and do what you did the other day, because I think everybody's supposed to know those things. So when I'm talking to them, I expect them to pick up everything, and that's wrong.
No, that's
Yeah, that's not.
it's part of what I call it's like a basic behaviorism. It's like assess, diagnose, and visualize where you want them to go.
You're another teacher.
For
You
a long
aggravate
time.
me too. I never liked teachers.
the amount of work that
Don't
teachers.
feel bad. I'm just as dyslexic as you are.
Right, that's my problem, right? Yeah, you know, but no, I mean, I've always said it takes special individuals to sit down and deal with the classroom one-on-one, or however, to instruct and develop an educated person. I mean, you have to be able to communicate. You have to be able to have the patience. Like you were working the other day, I watched you. I don't have the patience, and that's tragic on my part and stuff like that.
I mean,
you
for
know.
instance, you know, I gave him a set of 10 problems to solve.
Right.
Some of them were easy and some of them were quite hard, but they were simple arithmetic, what I call arithmetic.
Yeah, right.
That word has disappeared from
Yeah, now
American
they call
lexicon. I don't know what
yeah, they call it
just,
maths
everything
now.
is maths,
Yeah.
you know. But anyway,
Reading, writing,
it's
and arithmetic.
essentially arithmetic.
Arithmetic,
And
right.
you know, 50 times 20. Now, you could talk to 100 people and every single one of them would do a simple calculation. They'd probably do it in their head.
Right.
But they'd do a simple
Exactly.
calculation and you got the answer.
And you got the answer.
With this, the only way that he could work it out was 50 times 50 equals 100, then add another 50, so you got 150. So he was going down the page 20 times, add in 50 every time. So that means he hasn't got the method right.
Right.
He knows what needs to be done, he just hasn't got the method. So that piece of the puzzle is missing. And he missed it when he was 7. And he's 24 now, 25.
Yeah.
So if you know, that's the
And
part of
there's
teaching.
one-
And if you're in a big classroom with 24 kids, and say 10 of them are
Like that.
throwing things around the place, and 2 or 3 of them are actually sort of, verbally abusing other people, it's a classroom management situation. This kid, he probably was in a classroom like that. He was just sitting quietly on his own, thinking to himself, I don't know what I'm doing. These kids probably knew what they did. They'd picked it up in a second and they'd gone.
Yeah.
They were bored. He was still stuck.
He was stuck. Yeah, and nobody.
But the teacher was trying to manage the classroom. That's what classroom teaching is about. So therefore, you have to, these children have to reach out somehow. They have to reach out and make their problem known. And then it's up to the education system to be able to deal with that. And the more you cut education, the less they're able to deal with that. And that's when you get test scores going down. And everyone says, oh, well, it's, there's crap teachers and all this. Okay, you could throw those teachers out, bring another set of teachers in with the same resources, you get the same results.
Well, yeah.
Well, I think it's also family investment. You know, I mean, you have to
For
be
sure.
invested in your child to know that there are problems in the first place. I mean, I've heard you talk about with your kids, you take them out and test them and
Absolutely.
see where their points were that they need
Leo,
help with.
Leo's children left him.
Oh, yeah, exactly right. Yeah, the family left him. Yeah, exactly right. They left him on his own. Yeah, we
He
got
had to go out and work.
Yeah.
And when that's the problem, we got tons of people like that, and that's it. He had to go out and work, right?
Socioeconomic.
Right. Socioeconomic effects.
And is New London not in that, you know,
Well, yeah,
there's a lot of
imagine,
people in
wow.
socioeconomic situations
Yeah,
where
we're in,
they're more
exactly.
concerned about trying to find enough food to eat.
Exactly right. No,
know.
I know.
I mean, Leo, as we all know, doesn't have a computer.
No,
They don't have a phone.
no.
So, you know,
Yeah,
it's down to, you know, organizations like yours and others to pick up the slack.
well,
And
that's what
there's no
happened.
other way to
There
do
is
it.
no other.
If he
way.
lived in a different country, if he lived in France or he lived in Sweden or, you know, other countries, then that might not have been the case. But, you know, that's just the way it is. And he
Yeah.
lives where he lives and, you know, we deal with it. We carry on. You know?
Yeah, he's not living in England either. He's living in America where we just throw people away and we don't deal with.
Well, in certain parts of America, you have this-
reality. Some places, yeah, but the reality is, okay, we do less and less. Over the years, we are losing it because we used to pick up those individuals. We used to make sure that they were taken care of. I mean, and we're not doing that anymore. I mean, in our schools are spent times is the teachers trying to manage a class of 30, 35 people, unruly, okay, that have lost all their basics, like you said, and they may have got pushed through to the 9th grade and stuff like that, and they don't know what they're doing, okay? So the classroom is just a place for entertainment, aggravate the teacher. The teacher's trying to manage the place, can't teach. Can't teach if you're trying to manage, as you know. And
I'll tell you this one.
And then we're losing them.
There's one situation I was teaching about 20 years ago. I had a teacher called John Hayes, great teacher. He came in to take up the slack of the school, which is in special measures, which I think you have a different term for it, but basically the state took over.
Yeah.
So he came in and he brought in new staff. He got rid of some staff, and the ones who remained. This is public education, and it's not, you know, it's not called public education over there. It's you know, you call public education public for general public. In the UK, they don't call it public. That's private, actually, public education. However, you know, I joined there, and he said, I want you to give the boys. It was an all-boys school. He said, I want you to give the boys something to make, something to, you know, to do. You know, it's got to be practical and it's got to be theoretical as well, and teach them how to design, but give them an experience, you know, in the workshop, and that's what I did. But he said, I want to see a lesson plan on your desk, every single lesson. I want you standing at the door to greet your class when they come in, and they come in, they sit down quietly, and only when they're quiet will you start the lesson. He said, if anyone stops you from teaching, call me, and one of my staff will come and remove him, because I won't allow the students to stop you from teaching.
Yeah, wow.
That's a simple thing. He said, I'll take them out for one lesson, a letter goes home to their parents, and then they go to the next
See,
lesson.
we
So
can't
not
do
all
that
day.
anymore. No, we can't
Because
do
you'd
that.
have the parents calling back, why was my son removed from the class?
Class, right. We need police.
Because he was
We have
interfering.
to have police in the corridors now. Unheard of.
Well, it's a
in
different
my
society,
days.
but I'm saying this is what he did.
Yeah, right.
And it was hard. It was hard because the school had got out of control, and there was a culture of anarchy, basically.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean,
is-
my first month, for instance, almost every class I spent at least 50% of the lesson getting them in the classroom. Literally 50% of the time, trying to get them in the classroom. And eventually, I mean, I got to the stage where to create the discipline that you know, because a classroom teacher has to own the classroom. It's their classroom. If anyone comes into their classroom, they're visiting. They don't own it. Even a senior teacher comes into a teacher's classroom. It is the teacher, and the senior teacher would say, "Mr. Linard, can I speak to your class?" So that tells the student who's in control.
Who's in control of the place?
And I would say, of course, Mr. Headmaster, you know. And, you know, I used to do things like, if they were misbehaving, I used to say, all right, stand up, everyone line up outside, and then we'd go in. They weren't perfectly quiet. Let's go out again, do it again. And then I did this 10 times. After the 10th time, you know, even the worst guy, oh my God, everyone sit down. You know, it's like the top dog would say, everyone sit down. He was normally causing the ruckus, but, you know. But that's in the past. These things live with you for a long time.
Well, and now I get you back to teaching.
So what do you got on my mirror over here?
Well, you know, I got some different stuff going on, and a couple of things. Obviously, I wanted to make, you know, we're talking about, this is a big deal for New London. The sale of the Union Station is near on behalf of the Coast Guard Museum Group. I guess they're going to try and do a combination of situation where a private party will buy the station, and then they'll have a determination of what's going in there. It's like a working group that's developing the whole thing beside the Coast Guard Museum that's going in there.
It's really quite...
which is quite a...
So it's public-private then?
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be public-private. Now, they've been working on this for years. I mean, this is not... You know, what I liked about the day, which was really why I brought the thing, was the day made sure they said how long they've been working on this. So Finozio cannot take credit for what's going on with the Coast Guard Academy and this whole area, which he's tried to do. He's tried to get in the limelight over this, which he does all the time. But the association, they're trying to raise another $30 million. I guess we're going to get from, the state is committed to $20 million on this. As part of a $100 million project is what the museum is looking at. Okay, so obviously, you know, I'm a family member and stuff like that, so you know that the Coast Guard is trying to hit up all the family members and stuff like that for this, which... Obviously, if we had the right leadership here, my concern is the leadership of the city, okay? Because you're talking about, whether you like it or not, or you want to say elitist, but maybe we're not, but we're talking middle-class people are coming to, you want them to come and visit New London. They don't want to get shot here. They don't want a bunch of crooked streets and all that stuff, which you and I have talked about on the show, like you visit, you know, and that's what we need, good leadership, and that's of course why I want Michael Passero as mayor, because I happen to think he's the only qualified guy right now who can bring together the diverse community. I just happen to think he is the best person, educated, qualified, homegrown. Mm-hmm. You know, he's homegrown, okay, which I think you do need to have somebody at this point in time who understands the diversity of the committee.
Got to have an investment, not just coming from somewhere else.
Well.
And that's, you know, obviously where your turncoat isn't really a part.
Well,
Is this Kreskin the Amazing, or
Well, I wanted, as the mayor,
Or is this the cardinal of the Kremlin?
well, there's two things here. I wanted to let Michael know, as a homeowner in New London, World Tales 2 had a great thing on there. I have to say, I used to get aggravated at Wales Tale 2, but you can get them on Facebook and stuff like that. They're pretty good, okay? And they've had this thing out today, okay? From Santa Claus, per Mayor Darrell the Scrooge Finozio, okay? North Pole, special gift for the New London taxpayer. Now, you're gonna like this, Michael. Well, me and outgoing Mayor Finozio have been working on some very special gifts for all you taxpayers out there. We were going to keep it a secret, but the word is getting out, so here it is. Most of you have your pretty offensive tax bills and are scraping together the monies to pay them, but just wait. Rather than piss everyone off at Christmas with a supplemental tax bill, we are going to wait until after you pay your bill. So Finozio's not going to give you then you are going to get a letter that says, thanks for paying your bill, but you owe us $600 based on an annual tax bill of $5,000 that you better pay by January 31st, or you'll be a delinquent taxpayer. Now, now that the budget is passed, you can see what it will cost you to fund this fool. Okay, and if that doesn't crank you up, wait till your car tax bill comes in and you see it will be increased by 38%. You got it. Car tax bill up 38%. Oh, and to all you college kids that support this mayor, guess what he's gonna do? He's going after your cars. If you registered as a voter in New London and he's up there soliciting you, okay, you need to tell mommy and daddy they're gonna have a new tax bill. Ho, 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 Merry Christmas. Okay, that is from His Highness.
I got one thing to say on this, and you know, I was reading through an article, and they were talking about the voter turnout.
This
And-
is appalling, actually.
Yeah.
It's shameful.
New London.
Isn't it disgusting?
New London was the lowest at 25%.
Shameful.
25%. So this is the reason why you have this dysfunction, is because somebody with a few supporters can sneak in, because not everybody's coming out and voting, and this is what you get. You get a fool like
It's an
this.
American disease.
It is.
It happens at national level, state level, local level. You know, it's
Now,
just...
are you trying to tell me the reason this guy got elected? You got to be kidding me, is because only 25% came
Well,
out.
this is the last election.
This is our last one.
New London was the lowest voter turnout of any municipality in
Our
the
last-
state.
Okay.
25% of the registered voters came out and voted.
This is
You know
horrible,
what?
huh?
I mean, this is why you had the situation where your charter took a couple times to get
Oh,
around.
I told you that,
This
right?
is how there were so many people that were running for mayor last time around. This is how, like, you know, somebody like Finuzio just kind of like snuck in there.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. We're going to hopefully make sure that the chicken doesn't get back in. Okay, we got our infiltrators. We got our infiltrators at City Hall trying to find out what's going on. Okay, as you see with the tax stuff. Okay, we got we challenged him to fight. He said he's going to fight. You've challenged him several times. Okay,
I started my training the last week
Okay,
ago.
so we're gonna have to email him, okay? Okay, we're gonna have to email him that you're gonna be the second, okay? So we'll do that fight. that he says is going to be for the fundraising, and he said in August.
Maybe the charity
Okay.
should be the town of New, for the city of New London. Because I'm sure people are going to need some extra money to help offset the tax
I
bill.
should get some when I talk about him, obviously, because,
No, it's a good job. I like the place because I can't get out of it anyway.
thank God, you know, right, you're stuck.
I'm stuck
You're
anyway,
stuck,
so-
you're stuck. You got to,
The
so,
value of my house has just disappeared.
oh, yeah.
You know?
It's gone, right? It went-
I'm under the underwater.
No,
You know.
it isn't. I mean, you got to joke about this, okay? The show after us is Lower Your Taxes, okay, which is a good fruit. They're a good group. I have controversy with them over the years, but they're an interesting group.
Who don't you have
I
controversy
have
with?
controversy with everybody, okay? But yeah, the value of home ownership is underwater. You know, who wants, you know, yeah, you got to deal with the education system. You need good leadership. I mean, I really believe, I mean, this is my, for those of you, and I mean it, my last effort in the political scene of New London is the mayor's race. Okay, if this town can't get leadership and the quality of Mike Passero, then that's it. I mean, it's a wasted shot. If they re-elect anybody, if they put this clown back in here, forget about it. You know, I mean, we'll take our business and go someplace else also. And you know, we employ 6 people, not a big deal, but you know, I'll go someplace else. My daughters have really struggled over whether they want to settle here or not because of leadership. Not because they like the town. I mean, the town is a great town and everything else, but the leadership and what they did this last time is terrible. Now, if you get somebody like Passero in there, then you're turning the place around. With all the stuff that's coming, we're looking like we could do something. But without good leadership, and we know, and people get mad at me because I say, I know what the problem is, because statistically, we have the lowest wages of any, we have the lowest hourly wage of any city in all New England, not just Connecticut. Bottom, lowest wage any place, okay? And we have the lowest amount of college graduates that live in the city of any place in New England. Stupid and no money, guess what? You got real problems.
I feel like
Okay?
I'm on Animal House. That fucking stupid is so
Okay, so I mean, okay, we got some good people. Passero put together. He's got a coalition. Most of them can't stand each other, but they all know that you know the fireman running into the fire is the hope of New London. Okay, and that really is. He's not afraid to take on, you know, the flames and everything else. God bless him. Okay, and I really believe that he has to do it, and I'm going to be yelling and screaming that right up until the time whatever happens, whether we have a primary of the Democrat. Every Democrat needs to get out and make sure that he is the party's nomination and everything else like that. And basically, that would be ended. Then all the Democrats need to go out and vote and see you later. That can turn this city around. That's the most important thing on my agenda this year, this coming year, 2015. So with that, with that, what's going on? What do we got coming up, Dominic? We got some stuff coming up.
Well,
Next week we have.
We have
Ooh.
the former head of the NAACP chapter down in Bridgeport, and we're on to talk about race relations.
We're going to talk about race relations. That's heavy stuff to deal with right now. Okay? To race relations, NAACP person next week. I want all you people to tune in. And the name is?
Carolyn, Vermont, and
Carolyn, Vermont.
and she
but
also has a lawyer friend that's coming on.
They're
to
going to
talk
bring
about
the
this.
attorneys. Okay. Good thing father comes from a racial integrated family, and of course I'll have to bring Ralph's book to make sure they know my partners are black. You know.
But I think it's you know what, it's an opportunity to have a conversation about things people feel uncomfortable about.
Yeah.
People don't want to talk about some of this. They want to, you know, sweep it under the rug and not think that, you know, this doesn't affect their lives or doesn't affect people that they know. And I think everybody's got a story to tell.
Oh, I
Otherwise-
totally agree with you. I think it's the hardest thing one of the hardest things in this country to talk about is race, the black-white thing. And I think it's different than other countries. I seriously different than other countries. And our people don't realize it. I mean, they don't realize the history.
In the UK, there was a major riot. I think it was about 15, 20 years ago. It was about a major riot in North London. One guy, because the British police don't wear guns.
Right.
But they do have, you know, they don't call them SWAT teams, but they do have certain teams who've got guns. And these people were out. And they confronted a group in a car, and one of them was definitely a known gang leader, and, you know, and he got killed, which is rare in Britain, but he got killed. And of course there was then, you know, a week of riots almost. And it was really traumatic, you know. And there's something in Britain that if it's too big for Parliament to deal with, they don't want any politics in it at all, they appoint a Royal Commission. A Royal Commission just basically is almost like an independent Senate committee. You remember, like the church committee?
Yeah.
But even that was political.
Right.
I mean, I don't think you can get anything comparable in this country because
Because of the structure's different.
Politics
Yeah,
have got to be involved in it.
Right.
But anyway, you can. It was a Royal Commission, and they appointed a peer, one of the lords from the House of Lords, and he was a judge. And anyway, you know, with unlimited scope to ask anyone, anything, subpoena anything, you know, and they spent a long time looking at it. And their conclusion, a bottom line conclusion, and they were talking about the police and in, you know, relations with the communities, and they said that there's institutional racism. That's just a fact, and that the police have got to own up to it, and they've got to there was a list of like 30 things needed to do, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
That's what needs to happen in this country.
Well, see, that's the problem. See,
I think the problem is the word racist, because as soon as you bring that word out to anybody, it just shuts them off. They don't. If you want
There
to
is no-
call
there is
somebody
no
racist,
substitute word.
and it's,
Unfortunately, it has connotations in this country which are extremely uncomfortable.
Extremely,
Right.
right. So we're going to be talking about that next week. Okay, we're going to and we're going to have the NAACP lady on,
Yep.
Miss Vermont,
Yep.
and then and the attorney and stuff like that. We should be able to deal with that good. You, of course, like me, come from a multiracial family and stuff like that. So
I got the UN affair.
Hey, well, you got the UN. I do as well. And I was just going to say, and Michael,
Yeah.
so I mean, so it isn't uncomfortable for us. We're able to talk heavy stuff. So that should be a good show. Listen, I just want to say, well, you know what? We talk a lot. And Dominic, always good.
Yeah.
And Michael,
Hey, you do have one more
oh,
call.
oh, good. Okay, I'll get my.
Be careful with this one.
Okay, here we go. All right, I got one call before I leave. Good evening, Street Talk, you're on the air.
All right,
I just hope that mines are like parachutes. They only work when they're open.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
And I pray for everybody. Everybody has to get along, all skin colors, everything.
Oh, absolutely. We totally agree
And
there.
I am not into fake, and I am not into silly Hollywood movies and all sorts of deformations of Arabs and Muslims and all that.
Yeah.
We are the real deal, and we're going to stand up, and we will take back, and love one another. That's what it's all about, okay? And I'm not going to get anything heavier.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bless you, and thank you, and bless you on the holiday. And make sure you watch us next week. We'd really appreciate that because, we're going to have obviously an open discussion. And with that, do you want to say anything before we wrap up? My co-host. Okay, we got.
You got my Fighting for Nuzio segment in there.
Yeah.
I've been doing my training. Obviously, I gotta lose some of my weight first before we go out. But my wife picked me up the boxing gloves.
So
we're getting ready here.
are you trying to say that he hasn't responded to you?
Well,
Are you trying to say that? I mean, he's challenged. He said he's got
I
nobody.
think the rat's got some droppings over here.
Okay, we need to find out why he hasn't responded. He said he has no takers. How many times have you challenged him on? He doesn't watch
I think
my
this
show.
is well. That's a promise.
God bless.
It's the third or fourth time.
Third or fourth time, Michael. Bless you, always having you on the show. It's really been fun, and, well, we can run the street. God bless you all. We'll see you next week, and thanks for staying with us.